Hello, everybody. This is going to be a very, very different kind of Planet of the Apes film series ranking. I can guarantee you that. And I want to explain everything to you people and tell you where I'm coming from because I love the Planet of the Apes films. Okay, I like 9 of the films altogether. One of them I really hate, and we'll talk about that when I talk about my least favorite here. But I was watching a lot of videos on YouTube with a lot of fans ranking their least favorite Apes film to their most favorite Apes film. And I really got kind of annoyed, to be honest with you, because 95% of the people seem to be a lot younger than me. And they're people who seem to basically disregard the original series from the 1968 film in the 70s. And for the most part are putting the newer series, the Caesar trilogy and the newest one, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, putting them higher, okay? And I thought, well, how am I going to do this list? Because I, first of all, as I say, I grew up, lived and breathed, ate, drank, and slept the Planet of the Apes series when I was growing up in the 1970s. I saw Conquest of the Planet of the Apes and Battle for the Planet of the Apes in the theater when I was a boy. And then I saw the other films, the other 3, when they were on television in 1973 when I was just a little kid. So I have a real nostalgic warm spot. I'm admitting that right from the beginning. That's why I say, I know if I do a list like this, I'm going to really shock a lot of people. But I want to tell you my approach before you go on with this. Give me a break here. Try to understand where I'm coming from. I'm going to be talking about these films in 2 different ranking videos. This first one that I'm going to do now, please understand. A lot of people I know are not going to understand. They're not going to even pay attention to this part. They're going to zoom ahead to the rankings. Please understand that this is a list of my favorite Apes films. This particular list I'm going to give you from number 10 to number 1 are the films in the order of which I appreciate them best. I personally enjoy them the most. My favorites. This is my favorites list. My least favorite to my most favorite. That's different from what is the best film, technically, cinematically. So I will talk about that in the next video. Okay? So that's what we're going to do here. 2 videos. This first one, my favorites in order of which I prefer, which doesn't necessarily mean I like them technically the best. Then the later one will be the more balanced video where I talk about them, ranking them on a more cinematic appreciation, technical level, quality level of filmmaking and that kind of thing. So let's start with this list. Number 10, bringing up the rear, the god-awful Tim Burton reboot from 2001, Planet of the Apes. Let me tell you, folks, as a die-hard Apes fan who went to see all 5 Apes films in the theater when I was a kid and loved all 5 of the original Apes films, I waited almost 30 years for somebody to do another Apes movie. And finally, in 2001, we got Tim Burton. And I thought, hey, I liked what Tim Burton did with the Batman film in 1989, so I think maybe he's a good man for the job. He may make this kind of dark and may make it kind of creepy and unsettling. Instead, he made a comedy. What I hate most about Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes is the fact that it's not taken seriously. It's a joke. I don't need to see apes taking off their toupees, putting their teeth in a glass to go to bed. I don't need to see apes having sex and a woman jumping around and pounding her chest and going hoo 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 and stuff like that. It was the worst piece of crap I ever saw now. Also, I did not really think much of Mark Wahlberg in the lead role. Mark Wahlberg did not impress me at all. He was kind of bland. I don't hate the ending of the Burton film as much as most people do, although it's confusing to most people. I know what they were going for. They were trying to do an ending sort of like Pierre Boulle's original novel, Monkey Planet. I kind of get where they were going with it, so it's not the ending that I hate so much. The only good thing I could say is that some of the makeups, and I say some because I don't like all of them, some of the makeups are pretty decent in here. I like Thade's makeup, the really evil chimpanzee. I like his makeup. I like maybe a gorilla or two here or there. It's been a long time since I've seen this abomination, so I don't really remember it all. But it's just a mess of a film. I didn't like the female apes makeups in here. They didn't look right to me. The female chimps, the way they were made up. And I couldn't stand the comedy of Paul Giamatti as the orangutan Limbo, I think was his name. I really thought this was a disgrace and a bastardization of the original concept. Okay, so then next, at number 9, this is going to shock a lot of people. I know a lot of people have this at number 1, but again, we're talking here about favorites, what we like the best. And I only saw this movie once in the theaters, and I have never seen it again, although I do have it on home video. I do have it on a Blu-ray, but I've been meaning to revisit it. Maybe my opinions will change when I revisit it. But number 9 for me is War for the Planet of the Apes. Of the new series, which I should say, the new series, the one that started in 2011 with the Caesar timeline, the 4 films so far, I actually didn't mind those. I thought they did a better job. I am not a fan of CGI. I'm a fan of old-time prosthetic makeups, actual appliances. I thought they still considerably did a good job with the motion capture and CGI imagery for the apes in this series. I'll say that before I start with them. Just that War for the Planet of the Apes, as I remember it, was my least favorite of the newer films. I have to see it again to be sure. I'll be fair about it. Maybe redo this at some point. I didn't really like Woody Harrelson in the part. And I didn't like the use of the name Nova. I really can't stand in reboots, remakes, when they take a lot of names, character names, and a lot of winks and nudges, elbowing, to take you back to the original series. They always have to name check characters from the originals and stuff. I hate when they do that. Next up, number 8, is also probably going to confound people. Rise of the Planet of the Apes is number 8. I thought that, all things considered, Rise was a pretty good reboot. It was a good reboot. I didn't like Franco in the leading role. Again, just like Mark Wahlberg, I thought he was dull, not the best actor, Franco. I forget the woman's name who plays the lead human female. I just remember she was nothing that stood out to me. It's been a while since I saw Rise also. I have all these movies on Blu-ray, but it's been a while since I watched them. I remember there was a lot of this again, nodding towards the original film and tweaking and, hey, look at this, look how cutesy it is that we're referencing the original film and doing lines from the film and all this. But the character of Caesar is what made it work the most. The filmmakers for Rise of the Planet of the Apes actually kept it pretty true to the way it should be. They knew what made the Planet of the Apes films what they were, and the emotion of Caesar is very good. I also like John Lithgow in this film. Okay, next up is number 7, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. That's the newest one. That's right, I'm putting Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes higher than Rise and higher than War. I just liked it better. I saw it twice in the movie theater so far. The first time I thought it was kind of lukewarm. You can see my full review on the channel. I did a full review, but I have 2 reviews because the second time I saw it, I liked it much better. I just thought it was an interesting story. I like the orangutan character of Raka that's in there. I like the lead chimp protagonist, Noah. I love the villain, Proximus. I think he's really terrific. And the first time I saw the movie, I didn't like the whole thing with the human female lead, May, where she was going with this and how she was so intelligent. And I didn't really know how they were able to write that. Why is she so intelligent? I think we'll find out in the next film. But the second time I saw the movie, I kind of liked where they were going with that, because the Planet of the Apes films, really, in order for them to work, you have to have human and apes talking and communicating in a contrast. If you just have humans mute through the whole thing and no humans being intelligent and speaking and interacting with the apes, you're just going to have a movie all about the apes. So I'm glad that they're going somewhere with the humans, maybe Uprising. Number 6 is, I think, the best film of the Caesar films, the best film of the new series, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, which I think a lot of people rank not only the best of the new series, but they kind of rank it as best overall, okay, of the whole entire series. It's been a while since I've seen that again, too. Saw it in the movies, loved it. What I remember about it is they really took the core of the story of Battle for the Planet of the Apes and reworked it. And this character of Caesar, again, was absolutely fantastic in there. And there were a lot of good elements that were very true to the original series. I got a feeling that the people who made Dawn of the Planet of the Apes really knew what made the original 5 films so special and why they're so well revered and why they're classics. And I really thought that carried over. And the character, the bad ape, who now I'm forgetting his name. I had his name down, but I forgot who it was. Koba, I think, the bad ape. It's kind of like a General Aldo from the Battle for the Planet of the Apes in the original series. But I like the way they took some elements of Battle and kind of reworked them and stuff. I thought they did a fantastic job. So I think Dawn is the best of the newer series. Now I have my top 5, and of course, I think you know this means that, and hear me out again, my top 5 favorites. These are favorite films. I grew up with them. They're all warm and fuzzy to me. They're nostalgia. As much as I enjoy the new series, not one of them do I favor better than the original series. So you got to understand that. When I do the next video about this, subscribe if you haven't. Be ready for it. I don't know when I'll do that new video. Could be soon. Could be a little while. But I will do these 10 films again, and I'll rank them all in terms of cinematically, which ones I think are the best. Okay, but for now, personal favorites, number 5, I'm going to go with Battle for the Planet of the Apes. Now, sure, Battle for the Planet of the Apes is to me easily the least of the original Apes movies, but I still defend it because while it's weak, the reason it's weak is because, to me, it's kind of been here, done that. By the time we get to the 5th film in the series, it's basically stuff that we kind of seen already. Apes versus mutants, humans, and there's nothing really new about it. But I think what people who dismiss Battle for the Planet of the Apes overlook is the fact this film's got a lot of heart, a lot of emotion, good characters. The character of Caesar, the character of Virgil, character of Aldo, the militant gorilla who hates humans and even wants to overthrow Caesar. All these characters in there, whether it's Caesar, Virgil the orangutan, or Aldo the gorilla, and even the mutant leader, Culp, who just is kind of war happy, just wants to start trouble and everything. They're all well-drawn characters. These are well-drawn characters. This is the Cain and Abel story. This is the story of maybe the first ape that ever would go on to maybe kill ape. This is the first time. This is a new concept there, really, for the series. And it's not just a movie that just cuts all budgets and doesn't have anything at all to recommend it. This is a film that has a heart and well-drawn characters and a little bit of a story, too. Now, the battle is not a big all-out war. I know they had a small budget. I'm going to make a video, too, one day. I think this channel of mine is going to have a lot of Planet of the Apes heavy content on it, because I'm going to make a video one day where I defend the budgets of these films, too. Budget does not necessarily make a film. Okay, people keep on saying the budget is what ruined some of these ape sequels. And I don't agree with that, because I think the stories are good and the characters are good and the makeups are good, and it's story and characters more than budget make a good movie. That's what I think. And if you want to find a case right here in this video to prove that point, most of us despise Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes in 2001. How big was that budget? That budget was a huge budget for 2001 for that Apes reboot. And that's considered the worst movie. So obviously, budget doesn't always make a movie. Okay? Next up, I'm going to go, and this is going to shock a lot of people too, the original Planet of the Apes from 1968, the Charlton Heston classic. Why do I put it number 4? Again, this is a list of favorites. This is not a list of best or the most well done. We'll get to that in another video. But for Planet of the Apes, I just find that for me, although I love the film, and it's a classic, you can't really say anything about it. It started the whole franchise. It's the one that began it all. But the thing is, I'm just a little burned out on Planet of the Apes. You know, whenever I find that I have an Apes marathon, whenever I'm going to watch the original 5 movies, sometimes I do that. Used to do it with friends. We'd watch all 5 like they did in the theater, back to back. We can't wait till we get finished with Planet of the Apes and go on to the sequels, only because Planet of the Apes is like the most overplayed, the one I've seen the most. Again, when I rank these films in a different kind of style, a different criteria, you're going to see that I'm not going to have it number 4. Okay, now, number 3, Escape from the Planet of the Apes. What can I say? Another heartwarming story, charming. The first half of the film is a little lighthearted and fun and comical. Roddy McDowall as Cornelius, Kim Hunter as Zira do a fantastic job. I love Eric Braeden as the bad villain, the human that. But as the time goes on, it goes from a lighthearted comedy almost at times, right? A funny film, fun film, to a deadly serious film where the characters of Cornelius and Zira, the 2 talking chimpanzees from the future who went back to the past in 1973, are now fearing for their lives and are highly wanted, and they want to get them. So I love Escape. Now, the second film in the series, number 2, I mean, it's not second film in the series, number 2 on my list is Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. This is the first film I saw in the theater. You know, I was 10 years old when I saw it. I loved it. I think it's full of action. It's action-packed. I think the real kudos for this film go to one man, especially Roddy McDowall, the face of the original Apes, who is the ultimate Caesar. I'm taking nothing away from Andy Serkis, who was fantastic as Caesar, but this is my Caesar. Roddy McDowall is my Caesar. He's the one I grew up with. He's the best Caesar to me, always will be. And I absolutely love Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. You got a great villain there with Don Murray as Governor Breck. You got Ricardo Montalban as Armando, the human protector and father figure for Caesar. There's a lot of emotion here. You can feel really sorry for Caesar, sad for Caesar, and you can feel happy for Caesar at the end when he starts to revolt with his fellow apes. The speech at the end of Conquest, if you haven't seen it, I know a lot of you know what I'm talking about. The speech at the end that Roddy McDowall as Caesar gives is one of the highlights, if not the highlight, in the entire franchise of 10 films for me. I met Roddy McDowall. I had the pleasure of meeting him and talking to him for a good length of time. I told him how well I thought he did it, how great his performance in that speech was in Conquest, and he said to me with a little chuckle, "Ha ha, wasn't that grand?" He laughed, and he appreciated it. Now, here it is, everybody. You know what's left. Hold on to your seats, everybody, please, and get ready to throw the tomatoes and to unsubscribe. But again, if you know where I'm coming from, like I said here, if you watch the whole video, I will be re-ranking these in order of the most cinematically best to cinematically least, and vice versa. My number 1 favorite Apes film is the one everybody's not true, but a lot of people, most people, despise. It is the second film, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, 1970, the first sequel. Now, all I can tell you about that is, again, we're talking about favorites here. I do not think Beneath the Planet of the Apes is technically the best film in the series, cinematically the best achievement in the series, no. But to this young person who first got into Planet of the Apes, I fell in love with the whole comic book feel of this. I loved James Gregory as General Ursus, the militant guerrilla leader with that really cool helmet that he wears. I love that they went underground, that you go underground into the old subways and ruins of what was once the city of New York, where I grew up. I lived in New York. It was so cool to have the underground civilization. James Franciscus did a fantastic job, given the material that he had, being an astronaut searching for Charlton Heston. And I loved the fact that we got to see Charlton Heston a little bit in this film at the beginning, and then he came back at the end. I loved it. I loved the fight scene. that wonderful scene in the cell where one of the mutants uh, closes his eyes and kind of hypnotizes or forces these people through mind control, the two astronauts, Taylor and Brent, friends at first, to actually duke it out with deadly force in a cell that they're in together to see which one will survive out of the two of them. Hoping they'll kill each other. I love that. I always love that sequence, and I love the church, the mutants pulling their faces off, the bomb, everything very comic book like and underground about this movie. It was so weird and so freaky. I love Beneath the Planet of the Apes. Beneath the Planet of the Apes, I'm sorry folks who have no use for it, remains this Apes fan's favorite, not the best, but favorite Planet of the Apes film. Well, there it is, folks. I mean, I hope you really know where I was coming from with this. I explained it a few times during the course of the video. I hope you'll watch the next one whenever it's up. Subscribe and be ready for the next video. It might be some time because I think I want to watch the newer Apes films one more time. I want to see them all again before I render the new video. But this was a favorites video, personal favorites, and I know probably in a distinct minority here. But I hope you had fun.